Hey guys, this is Greg with Medical Muscle, and in this video I want to talk about how I went through my day on the STEP exam, how I walked in confidently, how I had plenty of sleep the night before, how I felt like it was just another day of just doing questions. It wasn't that bad, and I felt like I had a pretty easy time, and I felt like it was just nice and easy. So let's break down the STEP exam. Okay, so first off, you have 8 hours total to complete the STEP exam, Step 1 exam. Okay, you have 7 one-hour blocks of 40 questions. You have 15 minutes designated for tutor time on how to utilize the STEP program itself, like how to block questions and all that stuff, how to flag stuff. And then you have 45 minutes of break time that you can utilize between your blocks. So 7 one-hour blocks, 40 questions apiece. You get 45 minutes of break time, and then you get 15 minutes of tutorial time. Now, right off the bat, a few days before going into my exam, I was doing questions. I started upping my Anki, and I did the things that I like to do, okay? So I made sure, like 3 days before, I'm doing a lot of Anki, I'm doing U-World, I'm doing everything basically I would normally do, right? But I played a lot more disc golf. I worked out a lot more than I did the exercises that I wanted to do. Like I like doing arms, so I did arm stuff. Just the fun exercises. I ate sushi. I ate basically whatever I want. Try to stay away from sweet stuff, but like, steak, sushi, just eat good food. Just enjoy yourself. That's how, drink espresso. Pay for that extra espresso, Just treat yourself. Get some sunlight, just relax. Go get a massage. I didn't get a massage, but one of my buddies did that. You want to just be comfortable. You want to be happy. You want to go in this feeling really good. Go watch a movie or something like that a few days before or something. Maybe like a long TV show. That's what I did. Okay, so I wasn't like stressed out. You don't want to sit there and just freak out about this exam. Okay, not at all. You don't want to be doing that because it's long, and you need to treat STEP, in all honesty, more like an athletic competition. Okay, because it's so long, you have to give your body rest before you go into battle, right? You don't want to be pushing your body to its limit going into the exam. So, the night before, actually the day before, I did a little bit of Anki, did a little bit of studying, but then I really just stopped at about, 1 o'clock. I slept in that morning, just kind of took my time. And, did some questions, played a little disc golf. And then that night, I went out to dinner. Went out to a really nice restaurant. It was nice. And then we went out to this other place to go get dessert. It was like a s'mores, like high-end s'mores with homemade peanut butter fudge. It was great. And a homemade graham cracker. And guess what? I don't always suggest this. I actually don't think it's a great idea, but I had a glass of wine. I didn't even care. Just had a glass of wine. And then we went out and hung out with some neighbors. And just hung out with their dog, talked about art. I literally did not treat my evening like I was about to go into one of the biggest exams of my life. I just treated it like basically a nice night, something that I'd actually like to enjoy. In the back of my mind, I was like, man, I want to get back home and I want to do some studying. I want to get through the rest of my Anki cards that I hadn't gotten through. I still had like 100 and something more. But you know what? I think that was the best plan because I was just enjoying myself. I was distracted. I think that's a really good thing, distract yourself. Because at this point, it's not worth it. You now need to preserve your brain. You need to get good sleep. And just sitting and stressing about that shit won't help at all. Right? So the day before I did all that other fun stuff, I went to the grocery store and I picked up a bunch of snacks. Okay, um, personally, I realized this when I was doing the MCAT. I didn't plan my food correctly, especially because you have 8 hours that you're going to be there. You got to get a lot of snacks. So I planned out my breakfast. My breakfast was oatmeal with some walnuts, healthy fat, with good slow digesting carbs. So oatmeal, mix that with some blueberries and some protein powders. So I had like kind of this complete meal, some fruit, all these good things. I ate a bunch of that blueberries all throughout the day, the night before, because I like them. But you can pick whatever you want. You just want a nice solid breakfast because you're gonna have it's gonna be hard to eat through the rest of the day because of stress and timing and everything. So you just want a nice solid breakfast. Probably not something with a ton of sugar. That's why I like the blueberries. Anyway, so I did that. I planned that for breakfast. For lunch, I bought a tuna salad sandwich on a croissant. It might sound gross to you, but for me, that just sounded good because I tried to make myself peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and it was just so dry because the stress. Because you're so stressed out the day of the exam, your mouth is kind of dry, and it's just hard to eat things that are dry and eat it quickly. So that was like the appropriate thing. And normally, I don't eat chips, but for my step exam, I got Lay's. I wanted something salty. I wanted something easy to eat. I also got a couple Snickers bars and a bunch of protein bars and some of my favorite pistachios. So I want to make sure that I had plenty of fat in my meals. I just like pistachios. I like the barbecue flavored pistachios. You can probably pick whatever you want. Now, knowing this because of sports and being in athletics, I chose to eat the junkier stuff like the chips, the sandwich, that too. I mean, maybe that wasn't so junky. But the Snickers, I chose to eat those later throughout the day because in the initial part, you don't want your blood sugar to go up and down too much. You want to keep it pretty stable. So you want to keep your foods pretty healthy. Blueberries, nuts, like slow digesting things because you want to last that first part of the test. As the test progresses and you start burning out a little bit more and you're getting toward the end, it's okay to go into that insulin spike because by the time you crash, your test is going to be over. So that's why I plan to have Snickers and Lay's chips and things that would kind of help me boost the glucose, so I could stay focused at the very end. Like a runner, like professional runners, they do the same thing. You do a carbo load the night before, you eat a good solid meal, slow digesting carbs, but then as the race goes, they're drinking, Gatorade and gummies and things like that. So you kind of treat the step the same way. And I think that really benefited me. You don't want to get tired. I don't always suggest this because, this is everybody's preference, but I made sure to have a large coffee. For myself, I never drink coffee going into the first block of my exams because I feel like you have enough mental energy to handle that first block. But I had coffee the second block and I would sip on it and then the third block because at that point you start fatiguing a little bit. So that's when you start needing that caffeine. I don't feel like you need it. Do not drink coffee first thing in the morning. I think that's actually a bad idea. Drink it as the test is going. If you have an issue with it, like it being jittery, then don't. But I don't because I drink a lot. So for me, I wanted to utilize it when I was starting to fatigue. So I didn't drink it in the morning, not at all. Didn't drink it on the first block. I started sipping on it between the first and the second block. Okay, that's the caffeine thing. And then this is all up to you. You can do this on your own. I had an energy drink. I had Bang, a sugar-free Bang. I just needed something with other things like B12 and all the things that kind of get you jacked. And I didn't chug it. I sipped it, between blocks as the later blocks. That's something that I do. I don't suggest that that might not work for you, but that's what I do. I also brought some supplements that I just like to use. They're workout supplements. Um, L-arginine, it's an amino acid that increases blood flow. I don't know if it actually works, but I brought that. And I also brought ginseng supplement. I don't know if it works, but I brought it, and I took it, that morning. So those are just some other things that I added into my thing. I don't know if that actually works or not, but hey, it worked for me. Oh, and then a magnesium and zinc supplement? Sure. Who knows? Does it work? I don't know. Okay, so I got a nice night of sleep because I had a glass of wine. I had a nice meal, went to bed early. I was tired by the time I went to bed, so I went to sleep. I woke up at 6:15, ate breakfast, drove to the testing center. It was actually pretty stressful to get there because there was a lot more traffic on the road than I was anticipating. And the testing center was a little hard to find. That's something that you should plan out early. It'll really reduce your stress. But I really tried. The way I got through and not being so stressed is I just did not think about the exam that much. I just didn't sit and think about it. Where I had on my NCAT or any other big exam, I would just sit there and just stress. It's really good to just distract yourself. From what I heard from other students, and this was also the case in my testing place, is that it gets really cold. It gets really cold, and they allow you, which I'm not used to at my school. We could not wear hoodies. This testing facility let me use a hoodie. I was so happy. So I had a big, thick hoodie with a long sleeve t-shirt underneath, and that kept me warm. I had to wear that the whole time. It was that cold. Plus long pants, obviously, and comfortable shoes. So wear your most comfortable shoes. Wear your lucky socks. Wear your lucky underwear. Whatever you want to wear. Okay, so that's the clothing that I wore. I just wore big, baggy, just comfortable stuff that I usually work out in. Really comfortable shoes. Okay, so going through the exam, the actual step exam, you have that 15-minute tutorial before everything starts. And this is my suggestion. Just click through it as fast as you can. Don't spend time on it. You can if you want, but if you've used UWorld enough, if you've used UWorld, you know how to interface with this program for the most part. There's little things like, you can pause or keep going into the next block or whatever. It gives you that option after every block. That's a little different than UWorld. But for everything else, like how to use the calculator, how to look up lab values, how to block out things, how to flag questions, it's exactly the same as UWorld. Exactly. The interface, the color, everything is exactly the same. So I didn't really need to sit there and worry about how to use that stuff, because if you can blast through the tutorial pretty quickly, that's now 15 more minutes of break time that you get to have. Okay, so now you get close to an hour break instead of 45 minutes, and I did use almost my whole entire hour. I used all that because, I'll explain as I go, but you will need it. You may need it to recover between these blocks, because sometimes the bathroom's not close. You actually have to walk a distance to go to the bathroom. That all counts in your time. You checking in is time in your break. Them having to search you and make sure you don't have any, you're not cheating or anything like that. So, yeah. Oh, little thing too. I bring gum, mint gum. My testing facility let me use that. That was such a great thing to have. Because chewing gum, they've shown that it helps with your memory retention. I think it's because it has mint, helps blood circulation, but also just the act of chewing just keeps you awake. Because 8 hours is a long time to be awake and thinking. Okay. All right. So blast through that 15 minutes, because then you get the full hour, right? But also, you got to make sure you understand how to utilize the program. So if you feel like you need to sit there and look at it, then that's important. So, but it's pretty simple. It's basically the same as UWorld, except that now you have blocks that you have to choose to either take a break or keep going, and it'll give you that option. Pretty easy to understand. All right. So as I was going through blocks, the way I'd keep track of time is I'd break the block, the 40 questions in my mind into time. So like I needed to be at question 10 in the first 15 minutes, and I need to be at question 20 within 30 or more. I need to have more than 30 minutes left on that block for me to complete the 40 questions within the hour. After that, I wouldn't worry about time because usually I would be fast enough. I would just use those first two. At 10 questions, am I at 15 minutes, or do I have more than? Did I do it in less than 15 minutes? And then when I'm at 20 questions, am I at less than? Have I utilized less than 30 minutes to get to that point? If I didn't, then I would speed up, and mentally I would just speed up. I wouldn't have to check it again, and I would just like try to power through it. I'd flag stuff as I was going through, and then if I had time left over, I would recheck it. Okay, that's how I like kept on track. And I basically did that with every single block so that I'd never run out of time. First 10 questions, should be there at 15 minutes. I should be faster than 15 minutes, maybe slightly. 30 minutes. Okay, am I at question 20? If I wasn't, speed up. Okay, and you just make those mental things. You should be utilizing the same thing when you're doing your test blocks, your practice exams. That's all I did. So on every block, I don't think I finished anything earlier than 5 minutes, in all honesty. I went to the last second on every block because I want to make sure that I'm giving my best performance. So I would try to answer things in my mind as well as I could. If I felt like, because you kind of have to have this internal feeling that you're spending too much time, then just click it and move on. Give your best choice, because you do not want to spend too much time on a really hard question that most people are not going to get and miss the easy stuff and try to go, miss the easy stuff that's farther down on that list. So make sure that you get through this stuff at a pretty decent clip, because yeah, there are some really hard questions. You're probably not going to get them right. That's a possibility. Probably a lot of students are not going to get them right. But there's some really easy ones that you don't want to miss that are later in that. And if you run out of time, you don't get to do those, then you're screwed, right? So make sure that you just get it, answer it, and then sometimes it's kind of a defeat to like skip that stuff and be like, if I look at it a little bit longer, maybe I'll understand it. But don't worry about it, because there's some really first order questions that are later that you will know, or something, some topic. Okay. Yeah, so I only had like up to 5 minutes, sometimes even 3 minutes before the time ran out. So I had a little bit of time to go back and look at the questions again. Sometimes I switch things. I know you're not supposed to do that. For me, that's what I needed to do. This is something that I started utilizing when I was using UWorld, was to just read the stem first, peek at the answer choices, but don't really look at them. Just know what type of answer you need to give. Sometimes the stem would be something crazy clinical, but then it's like a really basic, like, I don't know, psych question or something. They're giving all these lab values, but really you don't need that for this type of question. So just kind of peek, but I would try to answer the question first from the stem without looking at the answer choices. Figure out what the condition is. Then, get to the bottom and then ask the actual question. Try to answer it in your head first. Then look at the questions and just go with your first intention. And I realized I was getting more questions right when I would do practice tests, doing it that way. Because the longer, if I looked at the questions, looked at the answers first, it would kind of lead me to certain things. I would be more indecisive. Doing it the other way, where I would like try to answer it first, I was more decisive. I was like, okay, that is the answer. I'm just going to stick with that. I don't know what this other, answer choice is. I don't even know what that means. This one, it could be, but I don't want to be distracted. I need to just go with that one and move. And that helped me move faster and get more questions right. Okay, so that's a technique that I used. When it came to breaks, I took a break. There was only one situation where I went 2 blocks back to back. I did it pretty early, and at that point, I realized I can't do that. I need to go to the bathroom. I need to walk around. I need to move, because it's just so taxing. And I realized that toward the end of that second block, when I went back to back in 2 blocks, I was tired. So I just need to get up, move, get a sip of caffeine, get a bite of something, As the blocks went, I could start feeling myself, and I know students do this, everybody does this, toward the end of these really long tests, you start just saying, fuck it. And you need to not do that. You really have to. I know you're tired. I know you just want to get over this thing. I know you feel like you've done enough. Don't. Just give it your all to the very end. Don't say fuck it. I know a lot. I know that's what a lot of people do. Tons of people do. They're at the finish line. They just start clicking because they're so tired. So that's why the caffeine, the gum, getting up, walking around. I did a couple push-ups right before my last block because I needed to wake up. I was just so fatigued. Couple, calf raises, push-ups, whatever. Couple squats. You just cannot do that. You do not want to be in that mindset. I know really good students that do that. They just mentally say, screw it. I just want to be done. Click. It just gets hard. So you need to be focused at the very end with very hard questions, okay? I almost maxed out all my breaks. I said that. I needed that for myself because I wanted to give it my best performance. I didn't want to short myself anything. I wanted to give myself everything that I had on every single question because I knew that this was so important. And you have to treat this like a very important thing because it is the most important thing in your medical school career at this point. Okay? All right. And then after you're done with STEP, you got to plan something really cool because you're going to need not only motivation to get through, but something to de-stress after you're done. So I hope that helped with your understanding of how STEP went. You just want to go in there relaxed. You being stressed can affect stressed and tired. You haven't slept. Can affect your test more than actually studying, right? You put all this effort into studying. You've done all your UWorld, but you got 3 hours of sleep because you were so stressed, and your performance goes down because you can't focus. Whereas someone who didn't complete it, but they got nice sleep and they were well prepared, boom. So take care of yourself. It gives you a huge advantage when it comes to the test. All right, guys. Best of luck.